Tanisag. More or less, please feel free to jump in and pronounce it properly so I can learn.
It's várkapitányság, so you spelled it mostly correctly.
Thank you. You're too sweet. Thank you. I'm trying. And she worked there from 2019 to 2021. And from the beginning of 2022, she has been working at the Hungarian National Museum. And her main research interest is the topographical research of prehistory, prehistorical sites in Hungary, mostly those dated in the Iron Age. And from 2020 also, she is involved in science communication. She's also a divulgadora, so many of us in here. I'm so happy. And she has a blog that I cannot fathom myself how to pronounce. So please, would you be able to share it with us? Sorry, Rebecca.
Yes, it's földkaland ilyesmi. It means field adventure and so on.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. And Lubna, are we seeing them? Because the link for Caesar's presentation is up. Are we watching that one first and then coming back and follow to Rebecca? So I may need further indication here of how to proceed. Thank you so much, Lubna, for all the work. And thank you, Safe Culture Heritage Group, for all the work done, in the shadows as we enjoy the talks and the speaks. Okay, so unfortunately, we don't count on Caesar for joining us. So what we're going to do is we will watch Caesar's presentation. We'll come back here and watch Rebecca's presentation. And I will then leave the introduction of your paper. Izzy? Oh, no, the link is, sorry, I understood he was here. Okay, so let's move on to the link, which is already prepared. And I will meet you here in a few minutes. Enjoy. Thank you so much, Caesar, for that very, very interesting presentation. I really liked it, and I think I would have never thought about underwater cultural heritage and preservation myself. Again, I'm not an archaeologist, I'm just an art historian, but that was no doubt so insightful, and it gave us a lot to think, I believe. Now we are going to finally move to Rebecca's paper, which is centered about, again, as I was saying, climate change and topography. And the talk will revolve around the impacts that climate change has on cultural heritage. And not only are the archaeological perspective, but also the archaeological field work, which is something I believe sometimes forget, that we have professionals on the field, and how these changes can be tackled or targeted from their perspective, although they can also stimulate development for preserving heritage and making archaeological work greener. And changes in her discussion, she will address changes in archaeological topography that can make topographical mapping and site detection more urgent, while agriculture must adapt to new conditions. And the changes can also provide new opportunities for detecting sites and detecting features during drier periods. The paper will provide a theoretical overview of the complex relationship between climate change and archaeological topography. I think how are you guys on the link? Do we have it ready? We might take a couple of minutes, but same as with the previous session, we will have a Q&A afterwards. Feel free to post your questions in the chat. And oh, sorry. So we feel free to pose a question on the chat, and then although Caesar is not here, we make sure that Rebecca will answer all your inquiries very gladly, because this is not only a promising but very interesting field that myself, I'm learning so much as we go. Archaeology is not my strong suit, but definitely thanks to these speakers, I am on point with I'm learning so much. So if we can have the link posted on the chat so everyone can join it. I think I have it. Yeah, thank you so much, Luna. And here we go. If you just follow the link provided by, there we go. We will start in just a few seconds, and I will see you back in a few minutes. Enjoy. Okay, thank you so much, Lorica. That was inspiring, and it was very, very interesting to hear of all the possibilities in the more eco-friendly archaeology side, because it's a growing field, pun not intended with the field thing. So if we are opening now the Q&A session, if you guys have any questions, please do post them in the chat, and I will deliver them to the speakers, so they will read them themselves. But I do have questions for you, if I may take the advantage of being the moderator and ask one of them myself. And it's because you mentioned you work in the National Museum, and is this what inspired you and in exploring the relationship between climate change and archaeology, or an archaeological topography? What was it really the first step or the first call of attention? What got you interested in this phenomenon? If you could tell us a little bit about the process.
Sadly, it has nothing to do with my work. I mean, I work as my work is related to archaeological topography, but it has nothing to do with climate change. It is just one of my interests in general. And I wanted to make my PhD about this, but then my supervisor said no. So I have another theme, but I am very interested in this topic, and this is what inspired this presentation.
Can I ask you what the topic of your thesis is currently? Is it something close to climate change, or not at all? Or
not really. It's settlement patterns of Iron Age sites in Hungary.
Okay, I mean, it looks equally interesting, because I'm pretty sure you will do an amazing job. Is this which year you're in?
Sorry?
Which year of your PhD? Are you currently working on it?
Yeah, I just started it in September.
Okay, so congratulations. It's a fascinating, challenging journey, but definitely wonderful. So best of lucks for that. Actually, Tilly has a question for you. Well, multiple. Again, I told you this topic, this is just giving so much. She wants to know your thoughts on the advantages and disadvantages of the internationality of archaeology and how that affects climate change. For example, flying to different countries and how that contributes to a not so healthy climatic environment. What do you think international archaeology is like, ups and the downs, so to say?
You mean like researching with international groups and traveling for that?
I think it might have to do with the impact that international archaeology, the climatic print that we leave when we, yes, exactly, like how this climatic print that we leave will affect archaeology that is on an international scale or level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that we can make a lot of smaller and bigger shifts. For example, like in Europe, you don't have to fly. You can easily go like anywhere by train or by bus. And yeah, we can also make our fieldwork greener, I think. Maybe don't know. There's not really much research on this, at least, or I don't know about it. But I think that in general, there's a lot of ways that we can make our life more environmental friendly. So why couldn't we make our work too?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's a growing interest in making these activities more green as time progresses. Aaron has a question, and he says, Rebecca, what are the most common artifacts found during investigations, and what made you feel interested in aerial prospection?
Mm-hmm. I usually do field workings, so I usually find ceramic shards, which is not sounding very interesting, but they give us a lot of information about where people lived and in what era. And area prospection can be used with field walking very good because we can date the sites from the data of the field walking, and we can see the objects of the site on the photographs made from the sky. So, for example, we can count the houses because, for example, in the Iron Age in Hungary, there are a lot of features which are a bit sunk in the soil, so they have positive crop marks. I mean that the crops are higher when there are these features, and so we can count how many houses and pits they had if we are lucky, and we can date these features with the sheds on the field.
That is indeed very, very interesting. And I remember not so long ago, I read an article. There was an aerial prospection about the gardens at Pasargade in Iran. And you could really see how these kind of photographies helped greatly to outline the shape of the gardens. Not only that, there's some buildings that thought to be completely lost. There's a trace from looking, there's this commodity of looking from the bird's eye view that gives you a perspective that you wouldn't have otherwise. So definitely, I think it's a fascinating tool to use. Ashley has a question for you, and it says, with the risks of climate change being ever present, how do we prepare for these risks before investigating, and how do we mitigate them, especially in the commercial sector, which cannot be limited to seasonal work?
Sorry, could you please repeat it because it is very long?
Absolutely, no, absolutely, definitely. It says, with the risks of climate change being ever present, how do we prepare for this risk before investigating, and how do we mitigate them, especially in the commercial sector, which cannot be only limited to seasonal work?
Can I answer it? I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have an answer myself. Maybe Ashley, if you want to kind of like give you your perspective on it, or how somehow you can, or you wish to orient the question towards Rebecca. Don't worry, we'll have more. Matilda has another question for you. She asks you, do you think that climate change is becoming a priority for archaeologists?
I think that it could be, because it affects our work and our life very much. And as you said in the introduction of the session, there were a lot of climate changes before, just not this rapid like now and this big, because it is much challenging. But for example, there was a little ice age during the Middle Ages. There was a warmer period in the Roman era. Then before that, there were some climate changes when the Celts did their expansion in Europe. So we can look at these situations and see that what they did, how did they manage or not, because there was a lot of collapse of civilizations, and yeah, so it's hard, but I think that it's important that as archaeologists we use our resources to have to do something with this problem.
No, absolutely. And you guys being the ones working like in the field, literally, I think you can see, first of all, the impact of these small climate changes in the past, but also you are very much more aware of these situations happening in the archaeological expeditions, the missions, the citizen at work. I think this is something to consider because you are in the front line of acknowledging this is happening. What do you consider the most important steps for researchers and institutions to adapt to the challenges and opportunities posed by climate change in archaeology? What do you think is like the key thing or things to take under account, not only by archaeologists and field workers, but also researchers and most importantly, institutions?
Yeah, I think that first of all, we need more research on this. I mean that how it affects our work, because I tried to find articles for my presentation and I did not have luck. So maybe there are this, and just I was not successful, or there is really not that research on this kind of topic. And I think that it would be important that if we worked with people from the agricultural, I don't know how to say it, the people that do the agricultural fieldwork and the engineers, because we can collaborate, I think, and we could help their work and they could help our work. So that would be important, I think.
Okay, so creating this kind of some symbiotic relationship between all the people involved, because there's multiple. Sometimes we think archaeology only about the quote unquote uncharted Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider archaeologists doing all the thing by themselves. It's like actually there's a lot of people involved in an archaeological exercise. Also, there's another question. What historical time in your country interests you most when carrying out field working? Medieval, Bronze Age, or Iron? I know you specialize in Iron Age Hungary. Is that your favorite period?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I like the other ones too. Like my favorites are the prehistory ones. I mostly work on prehistoric sites, but I do field works like in everywhere in the country. So I almost see any period. I think I saw every period from this country so far. But Iron Age is one of my favorites because it's very unique and interesting, because we have some written sources from the Romans. I mean the Celts by this, but before that, ArchTalk culture is also very interesting, and both of these have different archaeology in Eastern and Western Europe. And in Western Europe, we have much more information. We have places where there were, oh, I don't know the word, sorry, I have to translate.
No, absolutely, don't worry.
Ritual. So in our ritual places, for example, from France in the early Iron Age period, and in Hungary and Eastern Europe, there is no such thing. We know very little comparing from the Western side. So I think that it has a lot of possibility for the future research.
This is a question that might be very ignorant, but that's the reason I'm asking, because I want to be corrected if I'm wrong. Do you have any Scythian or Saka sites around Hungary? Is there any Scythian tribes present, or they didn't make it that far, or I'm a little bit off in this?
Sorry, what?
Do you know the Scythian tribes, like these Central Asian based nomads?
Yes,
Do you
yes,
have any
yes,
sightings with it? Do you?
yes. We have a lot of. I think that Hungary is the western border of them because in the middle of Hungary there is the river Danube, and from west of the Danube there were the Hallstatt, and on its east part there were the Scythians. So
Oh,
this
that
is
is so interesting.
the same time period, but I focus my previous work on the west side of Hungary, so I'm much more familiar with that.
Oh, that is so
But we have
interesting. So you,
Scythians, yes.
yeah, I have a soft spot for them. I really like. I'm not that educated on them, but I really like it, and it must be. You have such a cool job. You all do. Like it's so interesting. I love it. So you mentioned that. Unfortunately, your supervisor wanted the thesis to go in somewhat other direction, which is valid. We're going to give it to them. Are you still exploring this topic that you couldn't cover in your blog, in your personal blog? Is this something you're exploring like as an independent researcher?
Not really, because I don't have the energy for that. But I have literally listed all things that I'm interested in.
I
So
understand.
once I finish my PhD, then maybe I can work on that.
Exactly. That is, cheers to a brilliant future, which I'm pretty sure you will have. This is a question to our wonderful audience. Thank you so much for submitting all the questions, super interesting questions. I think we have time for one more. And if not, we can wrap this up. But as you can see, there's multiple people interested in your work. And I think it's fascinating, honestly. I need to step up my archaeology game, because listening to you and all the professionals, it shows you how enriching and promising the field is. So if you want maybe one last question, and if not, we will wrap the panel, the second session up, and then we will meet later for session 3. And alas, the last of these ArchTalk second installment. Okay, so I think we are good. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for your participation and your beautiful intervention. And thank you to Caesar as well, who couldn't be here with us. But that is so nice of people having, this implication of climate change and the archaeological exercise. As the organization is confirming, we will stay in this Zoom link for session 3, and we will see each other. Let me check. We will see each other at 4 p.m. UTC +1. That is 5 p.m. UTC +2 if you share my same time zone. It's been a pleasure moderating for this panel. I learned so much. So thank you so much. I will see you in just a wee bit. And thank you again to the organization. Now we can 4 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EU time. Thank you so much, Madina, for aiding me with the ever impossible task of learning the time zones. That escapes me, at least yet. I will see you in just a bit. Bye.